Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode number 872. We're back on StreamYard. This is the second day in the last week that I've used StreamYard. I've utilized the subscription. Coffee in hand. History to be made. I see Ted's in the green room. Check out the shirt. History to be made today for the first time ever. 871 episodes. Today, episode 872. For the first time, we'll have a live guest on Hobby Evolution. Mr. Ted Mann, the CEO of CollX, will be joining us. I'll get to meet Ted in person this weekend down in Fort Worth, Texas. Collecticon Dallas is this weekend. The Collectech Summit is Saturday night. I'll be on a panel, growing your business, growing your card business through technology. With Cary from American Arbitrage, and Ted will be moderating that panel. So looking forward to that. We've got a nice little chat going. So without further ado, let's bring on Mr. Ted Mann. What's happening?
Hey, Bo. Great to see you. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to have you.
I can't believe you do this every morning. It's early to be like on like this. But I got my workout in this morning. I got my coffee. I'm ready to talk cards.
You're way ahead of me. I got my shower. I don't work out in the morning.
Do you need caffeine to jumpstart this? Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've seen you.
Are you a coffee guy?
Yeah, I mean it's a quite large. It's like almost like approaching novelty size.
Yeah, I need one of those because when I go live and I'm talking for an hour, I mean I could have had 3 cups consumed by the end of the show, but I only have my one coffee, which is probably good because it kind of slows down the coffee intake in the morning. But I definitely could use a second cup during my show.
I'm envious too that you've got your setup, which effectively becomes like a sound kind of canceling studio with all the cards absorbing all the sound. I do not have that. I have the home office, and so you'll see kids running off to school in a minute or two. But maybe I can even rope in Charlie if you've probably heard the CollX story and how he got this all started for me. So we'll see if we can get him to come on camera for 2 secs.
That's amazing. Well, why don't you share that story? Because I bet many of our listeners don't know the story behind CollX.
Oh, okay. So, and probably most of your audience knows more the Card Dealer Pro side. So, in addition to Card Dealer Pro, we have an app called CollX, which is a free app in the Apple App Store and Google Play. And basically, the idea for it all came about from my 10-year-old, now 11-year-old son Charlie, who got really into cards during the pandemic. It all started with Pokemon cards. That was his jam initially. He is now fully graduated into sports cards, which actually makes me a little sad because all the Pokemon cards I think he's getting ready to unload them all and dump them, and he's still trying to sell them for money, but it's anyways, time flies. And so Charlie was running into a problem that I think a lot of new collectors have, which is he didn't really know what his cards were worth, but he was excited to do deals and acquire the next best card. And so he would do deals at school and then find out, 2 hours later, oh my God, I just traded away the $100 Charizard for a Venusaur. What did I do? Oh no. And so he was, he's coming to me for help. And he would.
That happened to me. Sorry to interrupt. That happened to me in 1990.
Yeah.
Kevin Moss. I traded my 1990 Fleer Kevin Moss in the Beckett magazine. It was $4, and I traded it for, of course, a Cub, Sean Dunston, 8 cents in the Beckett. So I know we've all been there. We all have that story.
And you don't realize that until you look it up in the Beckett, which you almost never do, especially as a kid. You're not doing that so much beforehand. It just takes too much time. So I did this. I had the same thing, Bo. My jam was the 86 Mets.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I had my first experience with the cards. It's I flipped a whole bunch of 86 Mets. I bought them at the beginning of the season. They win the World Series, and then I ended up making, I don't know, it was $200, something like that. But it was big money for me in those days. And then I think it was the next year, they had a new rookie named Greg Jeffries, who was a new player. You ever heard that name?
Of course.
Yeah, he was like supposed to be the second coming, and so I was like, oh, this went so well with the with the World Series team. Like, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna just go all in on Greg Jeffries, and so I traded one of my dad's Mickey Mantle cards. I don't think it wasn't like a Mickey Mantle 52 Mantle, but still. And then found out afterwards what I'd done, and and I did the same thing Charlie did with me. I asked my dad to unwind the trade, get the card back, and said really sorry. And actually, I wasn't really that sorry. I was totally confident Greg Jeffries is going to be better than Mantle. But my dad was like, I'm not going to do that, but I'll teach you how to figure out what your trading cards are worth. My dad knew a lot about cards and antiques and all that stuff, and so he helped me learn, and so then I went about trying to teach my son, and was shocked that it was just as challenging now to figure out the prices of cards as it was back then. And there weren't, at least I couldn't find an app that I could look up most of my cards. I still had the shoebox of cards in the basement. They have quite as many as you, but I still had a little collection, and and it was super tedious. And Charlie was, as this started, he started coming to me every day asking me to look up the cards, and eventually I got so frustrated that I decided to build something. I wasn't thinking about it as a startup or a business. I was just trying to help my son out and honestly get him off my back a little bit for looking up cards. And so that's how CollX got started.
That's amazing. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about CollX Card Dealer Pro and what we're all here for. This weekend, we're going to preview Saturday's Collectech Summit. Here on Hobby Evolution, we kind of go all over the gambit. So we're going to, I have kind of, hey, squirrel. So the chat kind of directs where we go, Ted.
Yeah. Look, pre-start for us.
So, yeah, exactly. So Zach brings up a great point. So a few days ago, we had quite the discussion. I don't think I hit my topic until like the hour 2 mark, because we were talking about cereal. And I was shocked at how many people put Apple Jacks as one of their favorite cereals. Because I think it's gross, but I have a story. Like, I got sick after eating Apple Jacks, all that stuff. So what are your favorite cereals? First, are you a cereal guy? And if so, what are your go-tos in the cereal aisle? So,
not really a cereal guy. It's kind of weird. When I was a kid, the cereals were awful. So like, I didn't get good sugary cereal as a kid. I got muesli. So I still, to this day, a delightful cereal to me is like a Basic 4, which I know that wouldn't excite anybody else, but but it had like from fruit and some nuts, and I was like, oh, this is so much better than muesli. So I don't know. My kids are all cereal kids. We have been much kinder to them than my parents were to me. And I think they're all like Fruit Loops and I think Fruit Loops would be the number one.
I was surprised nobody said Lucky Charms in the chat, which I was a
Lucky Charms as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as much these days. I'm like a bacon and eggs kind of breakfast person. I
think that's what happens when you ate, because your taste buds are so much different. Like, as a kid, I loved sugar and I loved Mountain Dew, and now it's like if I have a sip of Mountain Dew, I just want to spit it out. It's disgusting. And I think our taste buds, like back when I was a kid, cottage cheese was like the most disgusting food ever, and now it's like, oh, I'd rather have cottage cheese than a chocolate brownie.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not a cereal guy anymore. Every once in a while, like if I have cereal in the pantry, it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and that's about it. And I mean, our milk goes spoiled because we don't drink milk, and I don't eat much cereal. But if I have a go-to, it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
That's a good one. I mean, don't get me wrong. You put a bowl of Apple Jacks in front of me, I'll eat it. Especially at like like a Marriott Courtyard or whatever. I feel like that's where I mostly eat Apple Jacks.
It's been 30 plus years since my Apple Jacks incident, so I think I'd probably good. Hey, do you have a neighbor named Frank or a robot lawnmower?
Me?
I'm putting you on the spot. It's another one of our shticks here on Hobby Evolution.
Oh, I know the robot lawnmower. I know what you're talking about with the robot lawnmower. Did you see the thing with the guy with the string? Well, with the lawnmower, so he put a stake in the yard, and he attaches a string, and then as the string winds up, the lawnmower gets increasingly small concentric circles, so it like does the whole lawn.
That's genius.
Isn't that brilliant?
It's brilliant. But I couldn't pull that off.
Well, yeah, but you don't need a robot. You just need a string and a
right. So, are you into cards?
Yes. I like I said, I was very into them as a kid, but then I kind of fell out of the hobby for several decades, and then these guys.
Charlie, is that Charlie?
This is actually Charlie's younger brother, Gus.
Gus, what's happening?
He never gets a speaking role, poor guy. Charlie gets all the TV interviews, and Gus is like never gets. But here, you're on with Bo. So, do you know Bo?
No.
So Bo is collecting 1 million Cubs cards. And in the process, has started an amazing card business, selling cards as well.
1 million Cubs.
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot of Cubs cards.
What would you ever want to do? Start the 1 million Phillies project?
Sure.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
We can trade.
Yeah. I see Charlie coming down here. Charlie, you want to come say hi to Bo before you go to school?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've like turned this into like a family FaceTime.
Hi.
What's up? Hey, nice shirt.
Yeah, you guys have great similar taste in attire. So this is Bo, who started the 1 million Cubs project.
Hey, Bo.
And 1 million other things. We were just saying. So Charlie and you also have something in common. You've both been on the Card Life TV show.
Yes.
We just filmed a segment with Matt Strom. What was that? Like a week ago?
Like week.
Yeah.
Week and a half ago.
It was. He's so cool. What a cool dude.
Yeah, I didn't get to meet him. They came out to my house, but it was just the producer. What's his name?
Brandon.
Brandon. Yeah.
Brandon's super cool too.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, we had a great conversation. But yeah, Matt wasn't able to. It was during baseball season, so Matt wasn't traveling.
We're lucky now because Matt's a Philly, so it makes it really easy. And he's actually pitching really well this year. He's a starter. He's pitching instead of Ranger Suarez, and he's been. I think he had this. I was watching a little bit of the game last night. It was on at like really late, like 10 p.m. But they said that he had the second best record right now as a pitcher who's pitched more than X number of games under Shohei. It was like him and then Shohei.
Really?
Yeah, but I after last night, he did not have a good night last night. So I don't know if that record holds up anymore.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I guess Charlie's already. But yeah, it was such a fun show to be on. We filmed our segment at a place called Victus Bats. They make baseball bats for all the big leaguers, and they like custom bats.
I like the Julio Rodriguez one.
Yeah, the Julio Rodriguez was like, so they make bats for like Bryce Harper and Julio Rodriguez and all these guys.
Oh, cool.
And so and they're big card collectors too. So that was, I guess, the tie into the show.
Oh, nice.
But it was such a neat venue, and we got to spend a little time with Matt. We got to rip a bunch of we were ripping a bunch of boxes hunting for his Phillies teammates. So we were looking for Schwarber rookies, and it was so funny too because we got one, and Charlie didn't even like it didn't even register for him that it was Schwarber because he's in a Cubs uniform.
Oh yeah.
That's
awesome.
So I think that'll air this month.
Cool.
So he puts it together really quick, and they now it's on our local NBC Sports channel. So excited for that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, awesome. I'll be looking out the Card Life. Yeah, great show, great series.
Your segment on that show was amazing. I thought it was so great. You were like one of the first episodes of the show I saw, I think.
Yeah. I think it was the second episode they did.
How did they find you?
I think on Twitter. He was getting the show started, and he was just looking for different collectors and to share their stories. And he had a connection with one of the Green Bay Packers running backs, AJ Dillon, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
that was the
so,
same episode. Yeah.
Yep. And so AJ Dillon's big into cards, and I think he does breaking on maybe Whatnot or one of the apps. And so he was coming through Wisconsin, through this area, on his way to Green Bay to film a segment with AJ Dillon. So he was looking for some collectors in Wisconsin and reached out to me. I'm like, yeah, that would be cool. And the way it turned out, it was awesome.
What I love about the show too is it's not like it'd be so easy for it to be just the same old stuff like every week, but he really finds interesting, creative things, that are, they're all in the kind of like, cards collectibles world, but different. There was like the what was the episode I was just watching where a guy makes giant murals out of cards, kind of like mosaic kind of murals.
Yeah. Yep.
This baseball bat company that was in this episode, going to the grading companies. Yeah, they I think they kind of cover all different aspects, and it's not just like, it'd be really boring if it was just like, a show of like, people with amazing collections or ripping, same old.
Yeah, he does. He covers like every aspect, and that's what, because content can get boring. The same. Oh, look at, even like breaks. Like even if it's a different product, it's still a guy ripping packs of cards. So yeah, it's really cool because it's got every little aspect that whets your appetite each time.
I don't think this about the Ken Golden. Have you watched the Ken Golden show, The Golden Touch, yet?
Not yet. I'm actually gonna. I downloaded it to watch on the flight.
Oh, it's perfect. Let's say it's a perfect like binge. It's like 3 hours. I think 6 episodes that comes to about 3 hours. So kind of like a long movie. It's a good show, but and Ken's actually a neighbor of mine, and we're kind of friends. But nice. I hope Ken doesn't see this and like be mad at me. But like I don't know how you could do multiple seasons of it, because I think it would eventually get kind of repetitive. It's a little bit like that show $1 Million Listing.
Yes.
For collectibles, and frankly, I find that show repetitive and kind of boring.
I see. I get into $1 Million. My wife's in real estate, so that's one of the few like in the business that she watches, and I get into it. But it's not my lane. Like I'm not in that world, so I think maybe that's what attracts me to watch it. But it's kind of like the drama. It's like the drama between the realtors. So. But that's the thing, and that some of the feedback that I've read, and again, this is without watching Ken Golden's new show on Netflix, is it's staged, but every show is staged.
Yeah, of course.
Every show, like you don't just walk in, like even
except for this show. This show's not staged.
Right. This is not there is no staging on this show. But it's like we didn't even do a preview. You and I, and here's the thing about this interview. Ted and I did not talk pre-show. I just said, yeah, let's come on. Let's talk about
We're highly unprepared for whatever.
Yeah. But that's what I do every morning. That's what I do. No preparation, turn the microphone on, but everything you see on TV is staged. And it's like, you're going through, say it's in the card world, you're going through a box of cards, and it's because if you actually in real life filmed, like say I have, when I buy these Goodwill pallets and I'll put together, like I found a Mike Trout rookie card. If I filmed me trying to find that or me finding that card, it would be like 6 hours of content.
Yeah.
You've got to do some editing. You've got to do some, every show is like that. So, and again, that's with me without watching it, but just some of the commentary I've seen regarding the show. Of course, it's staged. Every show is staged.
I'm just like to get your take once you maybe you'll have seen it, or at least some of it when we meet up in Texas. But definitely the variety of stuff that they included, because it's not just cards. cards, there are a few interesting card segments for sure. They go into great depth about the hunt for the triple logo man, but they talk all about the acquisition of this a collection of Dream Team memorabilia, and they the jerseys and sneakers from the Dream Team, which I think just went up for auction, and they cover a lot of other types of memorabilia beyond just cards, and I think that's kind of cool too, because it would be like they show a guy I know actually he used to be, or he was president at PSA, who aside from cards has an amazing collection of Apple computers. So he's like the original like Apple One.
Oh wow.
And so they went up to his house and kind of did a great segment all about him consigning a bunch of his Apple computers, stuff like that just is highly collectible, but not made it so it wasn't just a show about cards, which would have been probably narrow, a little too narrow.
Yeah.
For Netflix.
But the timing of the show coming out and is perfect, because I'm always, what happens is when I fly like twice a year, so it's not like I'm every week, what am I gonna watch, but I consume so much content throughout the day because I'm in this room like 10 hours a day shipping cards, or I'm upstairs listing cards using Card Dealer Pro, shout out. And so I've got podcasts on, I've got YouTube videos on, I'll Netflix or Amazon Prime, or what the other apps are that I'm using. And so by the time I'm getting ready for like a road trip and I'm like, I need a podcast to listen to, or I need to download some movies or some documentaries for the flight, I've already seen them all because I've got it's background noise constantly, day in, day out. So when this was released, it's like perfect, flying to Dallas, and I can just download this, and I've got like you said, it's about 3 hours, all 6 episodes. It'll be perfect and take me into Dallas. So that's awesome. I don't think we got to it, but are you into you are?
Oh yeah, sorry, I got sidetracked. So yes,
that's what happens. That happens all the time on this show.
As I've gotten back into cards, I originally, like, as I was collecting with Charlie, I started to reassemble some of my Mets collection, which had somehow kind of like all gone away. And I realized that wasn't a very good aspiration, like collecting 1980s Mets cards still have a lot of sentimental value for me, but like not a lot of actual value. So then I shifted to vintage. So I've been collecting more and more, like, I built a couple Redman sets, and been working on Bowman 52 Bowman set, which will is gonna take a while. Let's just say. But yeah, so I've been getting back into it on that side, and I'm just learning about all aspects of the hobby. Lately, we've been doing a lot more grading Charlie's cards, grading some of my cards. So getting into that as well.
Very cool. What's your thought in your experience with grading cards, and how did you initially approach the process, and how do you decide what you want to grade, and how do you identify if a card is gradable, and what's that process been like for you?
So it's really hard, and I as I was sort of working on what became CollX, I was also really intrigued by the idea that you could use computer vision technology to help with grading. So I'm like, this should be a problem that like technology can solve, right? If a human can go and assess all the card, why couldn't we train a system? And I have a lot of, this is my background. My background's in tech, and this is my 4th computer vision visual search company. And I was like, oh, I'm sure we can solve this. And so I spent probably too long trying to like figure out how you would prototype something where you could do automated assessment of cards. And the long and short of it is I realized, wow, this is actually incredibly hard to do this accurately. It would take a tremendous amount of money and R&D to be able to really, it's not just because, corners and edges are one thing. Centering was a lot harder than most people think. But surface is next to impossible to do with any kind of automated computer vision. So the short version is I've tried to just watching YouTube videos, teach myself how to assess the card, with my own AI. And I'm not very good at it. And so I inevitably end up going to a friend who is really a friend who runs a local card shop, who can tell me, yes, this would grade at a 9 or a 10. And I usually just follow his judgment. As the other, that's one part of it. The other part of it is, it's only worth it to grade it if you're going to get a significant value bump.
Yeah, right.
And so I use my own app. I dog food my own stuff, and usually, I'll scan a card, and I'll say like, okay, this Hank Aaron card is going to be $50 raw, and it might be $500 if it graded at like a 6 or 7, which is where I think it's going to get. Okay, that's probably worth it. But then, I'll scan another card and I'll see it's, $2 raw and $10 graded. I'm like, it's not even worth the time and the effort to submit it. And actually, a lot of our CollX users, I think, use the app for that specifically. So I don't know. That's been my current process. It's far from perfect, but I'm also very value conscious. Like I'll mostly submit to SGC just because it's faster and cheaper.
Yeah.
I think that they look great. So that's been my go-to of late. But I'm testing out some of the other companies like CGS is really cool. I have submitted a couple cards to PSA as well.
I was just and it got as you were talking, I wonder when people are good at identifying what card is gradable, how this card would grade. Do you think, and I've never asked anybody this, it just kind of popped into my head. I wonder if it's the experience they have with a grade. Say it's PSA and they've submitted X amount of cards and maybe they're consigning for people. So they're sending other people's cards, and just based on what comes back, they know how PSA grades, or do they actually know and spot what they're looking for? Or is it a combination? It's probably a combination of both, but I just wonder if it's, if somebody subs 10,000 cards, they have 10,000 cards to actually look at and just see how a grader at PSA would grade X card.
Yeah. I definitely look at everyone that I'm going to submit because it's not cheap, right? I carefully inspect everyone to try to make sure that we're not sending in one with like chipped edges and all. And half the time I'm doing it for my boys, right? And they're, the SGC has lately had these great deals, right? You can submit, I think they have a deal right now on Bowman, if I'm not mistaken, where it's like $10, right, to get a card graded. It's
$9.
And it's but you don't want to send in anything that's obviously flawed. Even if it's right out of the pack, it can still have issues. So I don't know. I in terms of like cracking the code of like how different companies grade differently, I don't know. That's way above my pay grade. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure there are people out there that could tell you, oh, this one's gonna treat this differently from that. The whole idea of like cracking and resubmitting, that's like next level stuff that I'm not there yet.
I have a very poor experience with that. And it wasn't for the grade. It was because the only cards I've ever submitted are tobacco cards, some vintage, because I want them in SGC slabs because they look much better. They're like, it's like matted. It's like art. It looks like a piece of art.
The tuxedo, they put that like
the tuxedo. Yeah. And so I had found a very rare 3 Fingers Brown, like his, I don't even like using the term rookie card on tobacco cards because there's so many, but it's essentially his rookie card. And it was in a PSA slab, and it's like sideways and it's all clear. And I'm like, this just looks nasty, looks ugly. So I'm going to submit it I'm going to have it cracked and submitted to SGC. It's going to look nice. I had it in my possession for 2 days, goes off to SGC, gets slabbed, and FedEx picks it up, and FedEx loses it. And there went my very rare 3 Fingers Brown rookie card. So I got money, and I got a little bit more than what I had into it. So,
Ugh.
but still,
You're stressing me out with that story, man.
It's a pit in
We're actively considering like actually allowing submissions through CollX to the grading companies because so many people ask for it.
Yeah.
But shipping is a big dilemma because the way they work right now is like you ship it yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
With that, if you submit an SGC, I imagine you ship the card to that. You creating your own shipping.
No, well, I submit through a group subber it's a dealer at my show. So what I like about it is I get a little bit of a discount, so I don't have to, I get like $1 or $2 off whatever SGC is, because he's got like the bulk submission rate, and then he takes care of everything. Like, he ships it. When the package got lost, he handled all of the headaches that involved going through insurance claims with FedEx. So I didn't have to do anything. Alls I did was have to, he even gathered comps for me to submit to insurance, and then I just double checked them, and it's like, yeah. And then there was one card that I'm like, yeah, this one is a little bit more, replacement value. But other than that, it was, so I would highly recommend going through group subbers and.
That's but that whole scenario. Like if we end up enabling this through CollX, which again we're pretty interested in doing, it mainly just because it's such a common request. I'm a little scared about the the shipping and the insurance and all that. Yeah. Well, we gotta figure all that out. So we're figuring it all out anyways for our marketplace work. But yeah.
So tell me about the marketplace.
Sure. So on the CollX app, one of the things that started happening almost like right out of the gate is collectors would reach out to one another and start to do deals. And we had a chat in the app from day one, right? So I could reach out to Bo and I could say, hey, Bo, I really like your cards. Would you consider selling me was it 2 fingers? 3
3 fingers.
Probably 2 fingers.
He lost 2 of them.
And then you'd say, yeah, I'll take $50 that. Oh, would you take 40? Haggle back and forth. So we've enabled all that. We've actually built some functionality in the app to make that really cool. We call it deals. And we've actually had a huge number of cards sold on the app. It's like approaching $200 million worth of cards that have actually been sold through CollX. So it's no eBay, don't get me, but it's still like, it is becoming a viable marketplace. But what we didn't have what we don't still have is like a proper checkout experience where you can actually put down your card or your PayPal and purchase the card on the spot. And so we've been hyper motivated to build this because we know our users would love it and would love to be able to actually, like fully consummate these deals on the app. Right now, you end up going into chat and you Venmo the person or something, which is, it's fine. It like works, but it's not that different than like doing a deal on Facebook. So we are in the final stages of getting that full checkout experience built. We had to build in shipping, returns, dispute resolution, all that stuff that you don't like to think about, but you have to, because you're gonna have situations like when FedEx loses the package. So we've built all that, and we're planning to launch it this month. It should be pretty exciting.
Awesome. So that's the CollX marketplace, and
that's CollX, and we need to get to talking about Card Dealer Pro sooner or later, because that's the real way that we all came together. So but the vision here is that Card Dealer Pro, in addition to allowing you to create your listings and push them into eBay, we will also support other marketplaces. And we're not going to try to like force anybody to use CollX by a long shot. But if you said, I'll sell my cards on eBay, but heck, I'll take half the commissions on CollX, I'll do that. Then you could check the box and they would go to both places and we keep the inventory in sync.
Very cool. I'm gonna get a question up here from the chat from John. What would a new marketplace do to differentiate itself from other marketplaces? So like with the CollX marketplace, what's like the differentiator for the CollX marketplace? What's the attraction for people to jump on and use that marketplace?
So I think the biggest thing is the ability to do multi-card transactions, especially like lower value cards, and to do that in I think a more collector friendly way, right? So if you're on the CollX app, I'm on the CollX app, I'm looking to buy some of your cards. If I'm buying $1-2 card, usually that's not enough to really make that deal interesting enough to complete. I want to get another 10 cards, right? Like I was picking up a bunch of Matt Strom cards for Charlie because he was really pissed that he didn't have any for him to sign at the show. And so I went and I was going to buy them from Burbank on eBay. And what, I don't know if you ever had this experience, but like usually I well, if I'm going to buy one of those cards, why don't I buy 10? Charlie can give them to some of his friends.
It's my business model.
So now it's like now it's an interesting enough transaction that it's worth the shipping and all, and worth the effort. And so, I think facilitating those kinds of multi-card transactions is really important, especially at the lower end. And so we sort of have built, in the app, in the CollX app, a framework to do that really nicely, because you can not only see, you can not only purchase that one card, but you can see all the other cards in your collection, and we can surface the ones that the buyer might be interested in, because we know what both sides of the party have, right? We know what you've got in your store. We know what I'm interested in. We know that I collect Cubs and you've got a lot of Cubs, and we can then see where those intersections are.
Yeah.
And make better recommendations.
Oh, that's fantastic. So,
I hope the coffee hasn't totally kicked in, so I hope I'm being
no. So I'm envisioning something that and truth be told, when a new like marketplace comes up, I don't really think about it much, just because eBay's been has had a stranglehold on like every market for 30 plus years. 30
eBay's where the eyeballs are.
Yeah, and that's the eyeballs. But there was something that you mentioned in there that, as a Cubs collector, and a lot of people that are watching this, and that I know use a website. I don't know if you're familiar with Trading Card Database.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But something that you mentioned in there was, I'll have the ability to see my collection versus another collection. So will the marketplace, will it have the potential, or is it in the eventual framework of almost a trading card database kind of marketplace where you can log your collection not for sale? You
can use CollX to do that right now already. I mean,
perfect. Okay.
We have 150 million user cards that have been saved to the app in the first year. We have about 1 million users on the CollX app. And yeah, so that's what people are doing right now. If you go on the app, I don't know if it's possible that I can try to screen share here. But basically, you'll see there's users on CollX that have, thousands, tens of thousands of cards in their collection. So that is most definitely, what I think most people do is they come on, and I don't know if I can show this at all, but it's not gonna. But you see these users have, thousands and thousands of cards. It's kind of like impossible to.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
And then you can go and you can view their collection. You can see what they got, and you can start to make offers and negotiate. Like I said, that's been going on since we launched.
Uh-huh.
What we haven't done is we haven't really given you a proper checkout experience, the buyer protections, all of that kind of like security. So I think a lot of people, we'll get offers, you got a Jordan rookie. I want that Jordan rookie, and I'll pay you, $5,000 for it. And they're like, well, how do I know that I can really trust this person and that this is like safe?
Yeah.
And so that's where, we've built a lot of that infrastructure in now. I mean, it's very similar to eBay and some other marketplaces. We actually model a lot of it on a marketplace called Poshmark. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Sure. Oh yeah.
But so we escrow the funds. So when you complete a deal, you purchase the card, we hold the funds until the card is received and verified. So that way both the buyer and seller have some security.
Interesting. Yeah, I think there's incredible value in that. Like, just kind of from Trading Card Database, and I'm not like, I'm on there, but I don't use it. because frankly, I'm disorganized with my collection right now, with my Cubs collection. But, a lot of people I know use it for trades. And they can see kind of like what you're explaining. They can see, there's Ted's cards, and Ted has Cubs cards that I need, and I might have Phillies cards that Ted needs, and vice versa. Where on the trading card database, it's not a marketplace. It's just you can trade, and there's a platform within trading card database where you line up these trades, but there's not a lot of times it's like my stuff's not organized. Like I don't do trades right now because I'm just not organized. So if there's a Cubs card that I want, I don't necessarily want to trade for it. It's just easier me to, depending on price, just buy it. Like I don't want that card, but I'll pay $5 for it. I'll pay $1 for it. So I think there's incredible value in something like that where you can
storing your whole collection is sort of how the whole Collectech app kind of got started. Trying to figure out the prices, but also we always wanted to have this way that you could build your collection, you could share it with other users. So now we actually recently released a version or kind of a tier to Collectech called Collectech Pro, which has like the ability to export your collection. You can print your checklists. Get these like really nice like printable PDFs. So if you go to the Madison Card Show and you want to round out your 52 Bowman set, you can go find the missing pieces. And we're gonna be launching some pretty cool new stuff soon. Some of it I even I don't even think I could talk about here yet, but we have some cool stuff in the works there. So I think it will be quite a bit differentiated from eBay. Going back to the question, it's eBay is it's definitely where the eyeballs are. It's definitely stuff moves on eBay, right? Anytime you list something, there's a pretty good chance it's gonna eventually sell on eBay. But it is for low end cards, I think not the ideal experience. I actually think TCG Player, I don't know if you ever saw them, or some sites like have you ever seen Sports Lots?
Oh yeah. I used to be very active on Sport Lots.
Yeah, I think some of those sites, while not necessarily like the most modern, they actually are better for moving low end stuff. I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would agree. There's a lot of caveats. I could do a whole episode on Sport Lots and selling, and the reasons why I love it and the reasons why I don't love it, and stopped using it as a seller.
I will come back for that show, or we can do that over years in Texas. I'm dying to hear what you think of it, because I think all these marketplaces are great. I've gotten to know a lot of them. The My Slabs on the slab side, Sports Slots, and Buy Sports Cards is another one that's popped up. So I think definitely we want to with Card Dealer Pro, at least going back to that, we want to be able to support wherever you want to sell. Right. Ultimately, our mission with the Card Dealer Pro software is just help dealers make more money, help you grow your card store, and all the ways that we can do that. And I think supporting as many of these different marketplaces and allowing you to do a multi marketplace kind of sales process is key, because the more places that you ultimately list, the more likelihood that the thing is ultimately going to sell.
Cool. I don't know. We didn't talk about this at all. Prepared. Are you open to taking a couple questions?
Of course. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Dan is
how badly we've been ignoring the chat. It's just been a good conversation.
So Dan asks, would love to know what is the best way to either upgrade or downgrade your store in Card Dealer Pro so you don't lose scans. And I know this is a question that gets asked a lot on social media. It's posed a lot about like scans rolling over and trying to keep your scans.
So I'm not 100% sure I understand the question. Is the concern that if you upgrade your store that you're going to lose your scans? Because that shouldn't happen. Because you can, in Card Dealer Pro, you can go into your settings and you can change to a new store at any time. And if you want to also just purchase scans a la carte, you can do that as well. You can just simply go in and say, we had a guy buy think he bought like 5 million scans.
Oh my
A
God.
lot of scans, doing a lot of scanning. Yeah, so I mean, that's another option if you want to just do it as like a one-time thing. So I know a lot of folks when they're scanning, they'll do, I'm sure you do this too, right, Bo? You just like you get into like the zone and you're like, I'm just gonna crank through like 100,000 cards today.
Yeah.
And and then maybe you don't do it for another couple months.
Yeah.
And that's a totally good way to do it. So that if you're doing it that way, I would just buy the scans a la carte. It's a little simpler.
And so when you buy the scans a la carte, is there expiration?
Yeah, those don't expire.
Okay. And that's what I was under. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking.
But the another way to read that question is like, why don't we roll over the scans? That is definitely a thing that we're thinking about.
Okay.
So stay tuned on that. We may have an update on that soon. I don't know.
Excellent.
School, but
And I know like there's other platforms that, I mean, it's like directly synced to eBay, and like the value is just not there. That what Card Dealer Pro provides with the scans. How about 4-leaf cards? Just downloaded the app. Love it.
Thanks.
Paul has a good question. I know Paul does a lot of scanning. Is CollX going to sync inventory quantity on all the platforms so cards don't double sell or need to be manually removed after sold?
Yes. And that's more, again, I would sort of reframe it as Card Dealer Pro is going to sync. So the idea, the vision for the product is right now, Card Dealer Pro, for all intents and purposes, is an inventory creation tool, right? You're scanning in your cards, you're creating the inventory, and then you push it to eBay. We're going to, it will evolve a little bit so that it becomes an inventory management tool. So you create the inventory, and then you once the cards are added to inventory, then you select which channels you want to sync to. So if you just sell on eBay, it's great. Then that's you hook up your eBay store, you put in your eBay credentials, it'll push it right to eBay. If you want to still manually export, that'll still be an option. Because I know a lot of folks, I think Bo, you might be one of them, where you do a little bit of you take the export and kind of do a little bit of jimming with it before you go in. So that's totally makes sense. Everybody's got eBay is such a complicated listing system that if you're like Burbank Sports Cards, like there's no way we're ever going to get you to use like kind of like a basic connector, like you got your own kind of thing. So that's cool too. But in addition to selling on eBay, like let's say you want to sell on your own Shopify store, and you want to sell on the CollX marketplace, and you want to sell on sports slots. We want to be able to allow you to do all that, and 100% you have to keep the inventory in sync. So we'll be constantly polling those sites to verify if the card has sold or not, and then if it does sell, update the inventory across all the other ones. So that's what's going to work. That is 100% what we're working on for Card Dealer Pro 2.0. Exact time frame to launch that, I don't know yet. We're working on it. I've learned the hard way. Don't give estimates on a few of these things that are kind of really complex, like our CollX marketplace. I thought would be launched last month, and but it'll be soon. That's definitely it's a big part of like our vision and why CollX and Card Dealer Pro go together so nicely is being able to do that kind of marketplace sync.
Very cool. Paul also wants to know, is there plans for a Shopify template to host their own site?
So we do support Shopify. We at the moment, I think we are probably not going to get into building our own Shopify template for stores. We were looking at that. It's still a possibility. I think it's a really good idea because frankly, I just don't think the Shopify templates for card stores are very good. I think most people, if you're going to have a Shopify store, you'd want it to be, you'd want it to look like, a ComC store.
Sure.
Something just a little more card specific. So, we've definitely spent a lot of time looking at that. But at the moment, we support Shopify. You can export to Shopify. You can bring your stuff in there. But right now, we leave it to you to figure out how to set up the Shopify store.
Very cool. Jenny had issue with scans rolling over. Is there a way that she can like reach out to you, Twitter, email?
Yes, hit me up. My email. Can I just put it in the chat?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that through this StreamYard.
To the right hand side, there should be a comments.
Yeah, it just doesn't have a box for me to post.
Oh, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. I can't.
Hopefully you can. It's not a very long email. Ted at CollX CollX dot, and this is the only weird part, app, not .com. CollX app.
Okay, there you go.
There you go. Thank you, Bo. Oh,
awesome.
You're in the chat. Great. Yeah, just email me, or we also have support at CollX.app is another one. But if you hit me up, we'll if for whatever reason somehow scans got lost, we can just manually apply some to your account. That's
awesome. Aaron asks, so is Card Dealer Pro integrated with CollX? I would assume
that's coming. That's coming.
Oh, yeah. It's still coming. Okay.
No, it's not integrated yet.
Okay.
Well, we use the same visual search under the hood and the same database, but the listing piece, the marketplace stuff that we were just talking about, that is not in place yet.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's see. Four Leaf says, might have missed this. If we sell something on CollX, can you keep that as credit instead of a payout?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love you, Four Leaf Cards. That's a big part of the way it's going to work. Is you can choose to just we'll be issuing credits. We actually have a fairly liberal credit program right now because we're trying to, as we get the thing going, we're looking to get as many people as possible using it. So we actually launched an ambassador program. So our ambassadors are kind of get some credits to go buy cards, and then we'll be issuing credits for things like referrals and people that essentially spread the word and all. And certainly when you sell cards, you'll basically be able to keep that as a balance. So I mentioned Poshmark. If anybody's familiar with sites like that, like you'll be able to kind of keep that balance and just apply that to future transactions, or cash out if you want.
Very cool. Very cool.
By the way, Bo, I know we're coming up on the hour. Can we talk for a few minutes about the Collecticon? Because we
absolutely
haven't talked about that yet. Man, time flies.
I know.
So just for your audience, like for anybody who doesn't know, Collecticon is a big card show that has just recently, it was more like TCG focused, I would say, and other kinds of collectibles, but now really big, expanding into sports cards. And they're doing the event. If anybody watching this is in the Dallas Fort Worth area, or could get there, it should be an awesome show this weekend. It's Saturday, Sunday, and then there's also this event that we're going to be doing, the Collectech Summit, on Saturday night, which is going to be you've got all the information at the bottom there. I just noticed. So it should be awesome. I am so psyched for this. There are, like, I don't know if you've got a chance to see any of the other people that are going to be speaking. It's a really interesting, diverse group of talking about everything from like NFTs to grading to to other kinds of collectibles. I think our panel is honestly the best, but it's gonna be really fun, and I'm super psyched that you're willing to do this with us.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I saw Bobby Hundreds is going to be there. He was probably my favorite artist involved in in one of the Project 2020 or one of the Topps projects where he did like error cards, where he would recreate like the Ken Griffey Jr. like 90 Topps, and I think I bought that one.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he would insert his own errors based on like growing up, the error cards that we all grew up with in the 80s and 90s. So I saw he's speaking on one of the panels.
Oh my God, we gotta. This is like right up our alley. Our social media marketing guy, like who you'll meet, Dave. He's gonna be all over that. He loves that. We've done actually a few things. I found a few guys that have done Project 70 and Project 20, and we got some of our investors or even guys who make like the custom cards. Like I don't know if you ever heard of a guy named DJ Ski. He made like these cards at the National last year. These were like to commemorate. They were like like T206 cards.
Yep. To
commemorate like the great scandals of baseball. Like the Black Sox and the yeah, I am. Oh, by the way, I might have a custom card that you'll be interested in.
I love it. I love it. Hey, that guy looks nothing like his headshot. Every person I know has given me crap about my outdated headshot photo from 2012, I think.
I gotta say, I've definitely never seen you in a suit.
It's been a while. Usually I'm in a hoodie. I'm in a hoodie and in jeans or shorts. That's my go-to these days.
Do you know the other guy on the panel, Cary? Have you ever met him?
I don't know him personally. I've never met him, but I've seen some of his stuff. American Arbitrage, love it. So I'm like stoked to get to meet him and talk to him and hear what he has to say.
You're gonna love him. He's I mean, like you, he's the nicest guy and just really creative. You know, I mean, he obviously knows tons about cards and he's created a great business, but he's also just like in terms of the way he creates content, I think he's got like a really. We were taking notes on this, like TikTok tips and stuff when we met with him at the Mint Collective. So I'm super psyched that he's going to come. He's more of a card dealer pro newbie than you are. He actually, up until the Mint Collective, he was doing it all by just taking pictures.
Oh yeah,
with his phone. And then we were like, well, we felt so bad. We're like,
watch this.
Take a Fujitsu scanner, please. Actually, I need to call them Ricoh scanners now. They're now officially Ricoh scanners.
Oh, they are.
I think Don actually. I think I have a box right back there. I think he sent me the first officially branded Ricoh scanner.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. I know you're probably busy. I'm busy. I will see you Saturday. And we'll be at Collecticon Dallas, and then 7:00 Saturday night at the Hilton Fort Worth is the Collectech Summit. Newstreet.com, I spelled that wrong. NEU Street.com.
New Street's very cool too. I don't know if you've seen much about them. They're neat. They're like the Bloomberg for collectibles. That's what they're aspiring to build. So they've been they've been doing some content, but they've all like behind the scenes been building this like massive trove of pricing data. This is really interesting. You'll get to hopefully meet them at the show too. They're pretty cool. Awesome. They're the guys that put together this whole Collectech Summit, and they brought in, Brian Lee from Arena Club and and all the speakers that like the guy you were just mentioning to make it into a really cool program.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. So that's this Saturday, and of course I'll be talking about it on my show probably Monday morning. So recap the weekend. So Ted, I appreciate everything you do with CollX and Card Dealer Pro, inviting me down to Dallas, and I'm looking forward to getting to meet you in person for the first time. So thank you so much for inviting me, and I'll see you this weekend.
Likewise. Thanks so much, Bo. Thanks for having me on.
All right, for the first time ever, a live guest on Hobby Evolution.
Live guests are good. You should do more of it.
I know it was fun. This was great. We even got to talk cereal and robot lawnmowers. So didn't want to divert too far from the path. So that's it for Hobby Evolution. Back at it tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central. Check out Card Dealer Pro CollX. Go into the description. You can check out my eBay store. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, Dan in the chat has a scanning question. So Dan, hit up Ted. His email address is ted, TED, at collex.app, COLLX.app. So Dan, hit up Ted through email, and he can get you hooked up with a fix on that. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great it's trash day. We didn't get Ted's trash day. Today is trash day. Recycling and trash, it's the important one. They're both on the curb. Took them out last night. So take the trash out if it's your trash day. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.